OMG. Your soulmate got a phone call and cut everyone off. They said you are my beloved child. Something happened only moments ago that no one around your soulmate expected. The room was filled with ordinary conversations, familiar faces, and distractions that seemed important at the time. Then a phone began to ring. At first, nobody paid attention. But the second your soulmate looked at the screen, everything changed. Their heartbeat sped up. Their expression completely shifted. Without saying a single word, they stood up, walked away from everyone, and answered the call in complete silence. The people around them tried asking questions, but they ignored every voice. They cut everyone off as if nothing else in the world mattered anymore. Don't skip. This is not an ordinary moment. Something huge is waiting for you. During that call, a sentence was spoken that completely shook everything your soulmate believed about their future. They were told that someone they could never truly forget had reached a turning point, and that someone was you. At first, they refused to believe it. They stood frozen, replaying every memory they had tried so hard to hide. Suddenly, moments they once dismissed as meaningless began fitting together like pieces of a puzzle they never realized they were solving. For the first time in a long time, they understood that every delay had been leading toward this exact moment. The voice on the other end continued revealing things that only someone who knew the deepest parts of their journey could possibly know. Every sentence made your soulmate more emotional than the last. They were reminded of the promises they silently carried, the dreams they buried beneath fear, and the connection they thought distance had erased forever. They realized they had spent so much time pretending to move forward while their heart had secretly remained in the same place all along. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. The call reached a moment where they heard words that made them stop walking completely. They looked around, almost expecting someone to tell them it was all a misunderstanding. But no one could explain what they were feeling. A strange calm replaced every doubt they had been carrying. They suddenly understood why every attempt to replace your memory had quietly failed. No matter how many distractions appeared, none of them stayed. No matter how much they tried convincing themselves the story was over, something inside them refused to let go. That realization hit harder than anything they had experienced before. In that instant, they no longer wanted to run from what they truly felt. As the conversation neared its end, one final message was spoken so quietly that your soulmate closed their eyes just to absorb every single word. They were told, the person you keep thinking about is much closer to your destiny than you ever imagined. Those words echoed through their heart long after the call ended. When they finally lowered the phone, everyone around them noticed they were no longer the same person who had answered it. They barely responded to anyone. They walked away from the crowd because they needed to be alone with thoughts they could no longer ignore. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Right now, your soulmate is replaying old conversations, forgotten moments, and tiny signs that suddenly make perfect sense. They are beginning to understand that what they once believed was coincidence may have been preparing them for this life-changing chapter all along. But there is one detail from that mysterious phone call they have not shared with anyone. It is the one sentence powerful enough to completely transform everything between you, and the moment they finally decide to reveal those exact words, nothing about this story will ever be the same again. A moment later, your soulmate looked down at the phone one more time, almost expecting it to ring again. Their hands were steady, but their heart was racing faster than ever before. The silence around them felt louder than any conversation they had left behind. Every face they had walked away from was now wondering what could possibly have happened, yet your soulmate couldn't bring themselves to explain it. They knew that if they repeated even a single sentence from that call, everything inside them would become real. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. They slowly whispered the words they had just heard, trying to convince themselves they had imagined them. But every time those words echoed in their mind, they felt the same undeniable pull toward you. It was no longer a passing thought. It was a realization that refused to disappear. They suddenly understood why every unexpected delay, every missed opportunity, and every unanswered question had quietly been preparing them for this exact turning point. For the first time, they stopped asking whether they should reach out. Instead, they began asking themselves why they had waited so long. Without realizing it, they started noticing signs everywhere. A familiar song played unexpectedly. A place connected to an old memory appeared right in front of them. Even small conversations between strangers reminded them of moments they had shared only in their heart. None of it felt random anymore. Stay till the end because the biggest revelation has not happened yet. Your soulmate sat alone for a while, replaying every chapter of the journey from the very beginning. They remembered the times they almost gave up, the moments fear convinced them to stay silent, and the countless nights they wondered whether destiny had already chosen a different path. Yet after that mysterious phone call, every doubt began falling apart one by one. They could no longer ignore what was happening inside them. They realized the strongest connections are never measured by time or distance but by the way they continue pulling two hearts back together, even after everything tries to separate them. That truth became impossible to escape. Just when your soulmate thought the call had revealed everything, they noticed one small detail they had completely overlooked. It wasn't spoken loudly, yet it carried more meaning than anything else. The caller had ended the conversation by saying, "When the next moment arrives, you will know exactly what to do." Those words refused to leave their mind. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Since then, your soulmate has been watching every opportunity more carefully than ever before, believing that the next unexpected event could change everything forever. They have already made a quiet decision deep inside their heart, but they are waiting for one final confirmation before taking that life-changing step. What they don't realize is that confirmation is much closer than they think, and when it finally appears, the first words they choose to speak may become the beginning of a story neither of you will ever forget. Everything became strangely quiet after that. Your soulmate tried returning to the people they had walked away from, but something inside them had already changed. They smiled when someone spoke, yet their mind was somewhere else entirely. Every question they were asked sounded distant. Every laugh around them felt empty. The only thing they could hear was the echo of that mysterious phone call. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Then, without warning, they remembered one forgotten moment that had stayed buried for far too long. It was a memory they had pushed aside because it felt impossible to explain. Suddenly, every detail came rushing back with incredible clarity. The expression on your face, the timing of that unforgettable moment, the strange feeling that neither of you could describe, it all returned at once. They realized they hadn't forgotten you at all. They had only been hiding the truth from themselves. The more they tried to deny it, the stronger it became. That realization hit with such force that they quietly stepped away once again, needing a place where nobody could see what was happening inside them. As they stood alone, they unlocked their phone and scrolled through old conversations, old photos, and memories they once promised themselves they would never revisit. Every swipe made their heart beat faster. They paused at one particular moment and couldn't move their finger any farther. It felt as though time itself had stopped. Stay till the end because what happened next surprised even your soulmate. They finally admitted something they had never been brave enough to say out loud. They whispered, "What if I've been running away from the person I was always meant to find?" That single thought changed everything. Suddenly, every coincidence began making sense. Every unexpected delay now looked like perfect timing. Every closed door seemed to have protected a future they simply couldn't see before. For the first time, they stopped focusing on what they had lost and started believing in what could still be waiting ahead. Hope replaced fear little by little, and with every passing second, the idea of reaching out to you became less frightening and more necessary. Just as they were about to put the phone away, the screen lit up once again. It wasn't another call. It was something even more unexpected. A short message appeared from the very same number. There were only a few words, but they carried enough weight to leave your soulmate completely speechless. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. The message simply said, the answer you've been searching for is already searching for you. Your soulmate read it once, then again, then several more times, unable to look away. A calm certainty began replacing every remaining doubt. They knew another chapter was about to begin, but they still had no idea how close the next life-changing moment really was. What they are about to discover next will reveal why that phone call happened on this exact day, and why your name became impossible for them to ignore anymore. A new day arrived, but your soulmate couldn't escape the feeling that the phone call had started something that could never be reversed. They woke up earlier than usual, yet it wasn't because of an alarm. Their thoughts had already pulled them awake. Every second felt different. The world around them looked the same, but their heart no longer saw it the same way. They kept asking themselves one question over and over again, why now? Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. As they replayed every word from the call, they suddenly noticed something they had completely missed before. The caller had never tried to convince them to believe anything. Instead, they simply revealed pieces of a truth your soulmate already carried deep inside. That realization was impossible to ignore. They finally understood that the strongest answers are never forced upon you. They quietly awaken when the right moment finally arrives. Your soulmate felt as if an invisible wall inside them had finally begun to crumble, and behind that wall was a future they had been too afraid to imagine. The rest of the day became filled with unexpected moments that seemed far too meaningful to be ordinary. A familiar place caught their attention for no clear reason. A random conversation nearby mentioned words that sounded strangely connected to you. Even the smallest details seemed to whisper that something bigger was unfolding behind the scenes. Stay till the end because the next discovery changed the direction of everything. Your soulmate stopped resisting those feelings and allowed themselves to remember what they had spent so long trying to forget. They realized they had measured every new person against the memory of you without even noticing. No matter where life took them, no connection ever felt complete. No conversation stayed in their heart the way yours did. For the first time, they admitted that the emptiness they had been feeling was never caused by distance. It came from pretending that what they felt for you no longer existed. The truth had quietly survived every season, every distraction, and every unanswered question. Just when your soulmate believed they had finally understood the reason behind that mysterious phone call, one final surprise appeared. Their phone vibrated again, not with another call, but with a reminder they had completely forgotten they had created long ago. The date matched an important memory connected to you so perfectly that they stood completely still. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. They stared at the screen, unable to explain how they could have forgotten something that now felt so important. At that exact moment, a powerful thought crossed their mind: perhaps nothing had ever been falling apart, perhaps everything had been quietly falling into place. That single realization filled them with a courage they had never felt before. They are now closer than ever to making a decision they once believed was impossible. But there is one final piece of the story they have not uncovered yet, a hidden truth that will reveal why your name became the center of that unforgettable phone call, and why the next step they take could change both of your lives forever. My beloved child. The hours continued to pass, but your soulmate could no longer return to the life they had been living before that unforgettable phone call. Every step they took seemed to lead them back to the same thought. Every quiet moment became another reminder that something extraordinary had already begun. They weren't searching for answers anymore. They were searching for the courage to accept them. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Then something happened that they never expected. While looking through an old notebook, they found a sentence they had written long ago during one of the most confusing seasons of their life. It read, "If the day ever comes when the truth finds me, I won't run from it again." The moment they read those words, they felt as though they had written them for this exact day. They realized that fear had delayed many things, but it had never erased what was meant to remain. Deep inside, they finally admitted that your presence had never truly left their heart. Later that evening, your soulmate sat quietly, watching the sky as countless thoughts rushed through their mind. They imagined what they would say if they suddenly had the chance to stand in front of you. They practiced different conversations, but every version ended the same way. Their heart refused to hide anymore. Stay till the end because the biggest turning point is getting closer. They began understanding that the phone call had never been about giving them new feelings. It had awakened feelings that had been waiting patiently beneath years of uncertainty. Every memory became brighter. Every unanswered question began finding its place. Even the moments that once felt like painful endings now looked like necessary chapters leading toward a greater beginning. For the first time in a very long while, they smiled without forcing it. Hope had quietly replaced hesitation, and they could feel that destiny was moving faster than ever before. Just as your soulmate stood up to leave, their phone vibrated one last time that night. Their heartbeat instantly quickened. This wasn't the mysterious caller. It was a notification that seemed ordinary at first, but the timing was impossible to ignore. It reminded them of a promise they had almost forgotten, a promise connected to the person they could never fully let go of. They whispered your name under their breath without even realizing it. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. In that single moment, every doubt that had followed them for so long began disappearing. They finally understood that the phone call wasn't the ending of a story. It was the beginning of a decision that could change everything. Yet there is one astonishing truth they still haven't uncovered. Someone else already knows what your soulmate is about to do next. And when that hidden truth comes into the light, it will reveal why everything has been leading toward one unforgettable moment that neither of you will ever see coming. My beloved child. The following morning felt unlike any other. Your soulmate opened their eyes with one overwhelming feeling they could no longer explain away. The phone call was over, yet its message had become louder with every passing hour. It wasn't fading from their memory, it was becoming part of every decision they made. They looked at their phones several times, wondering if today would finally be the day everything changed. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. As they stepped outside, they noticed how even the smallest moments seemed different. Familiar places carried unfamiliar meaning. Ordinary conversations sounded like quiet reminders that life was preparing something extraordinary. Then an unexpected thought entered their heart with undeniable clarity. If I stay silent any longer, I might lose the opportunity I've been waiting for all this time. That realization stopped them in their tracks. They finally understood that fear had protected them from temporary disappointment, but it had also kept them away from the possibility of lasting happiness. As the day continued, your soulmate found themselves returning to the exact place where they had answered that unforgettable phone call. They stood there for several minutes without speaking, almost reliving every second. The memories returned with incredible detail, the first vibration of the phone, the change in their heartbeat, the mysterious voice, and the life-changing sentence they could never forget. Stay till the end because everything is about to connect. They slowly realized that the caller had never tried to predict the future. Instead, they had challenged your soulmate to stop hiding from the truth that already lived inside them. Suddenly, every unanswered question became less important than one simple decision, whether to keep running or finally move forward. For the first time, they chose hope instead of hesitation. They quietly promised themselves that they would no longer ignore what their heart had been trying to tell them all along. The weight they had carried for so long finally began to disappear, replaced by a quiet confidence they had never experienced before. Then, just before the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, one final surprise unfolded. Your soulmate received a message from someone they hadn't heard from in a very long time. It contained only one sentence: some connections are never meant to be forgotten, they are meant to be found again. The moment they read those words, every piece of the puzzle seemed to fall into place. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. They smiled in a way they hadn't smiled for years because they finally understood why that mysterious phone call had changed everything. It wasn't simply about hearing your name. It was about awakening the courage to follow where their heart had always been pointing. And while your soulmate now knows what they must do next, there is still one breathtaking moment waiting ahead, the instant when the distance between both of your stories finally disappears, and the truth that has been growing in silence is no longer hidden from either of you.